Welcome to this exciting section. In this lesson, we'll be adding one of the most engaging features of our habit tracker app, the community screen. This is where users can share progress and milestones with friends. They will also be able to view other users' habit updates. They'll be able to send and accept friends' invites. So by the end of this section, we are going to have a beautifully designed community feed, a horizontal friends and invite section. Then we are going to have an interactive friend invitation dialog. So let's get started with this. First, we are going to start with designing the community screen. So to get started, I'm going to quickly go to the section where we have our community. So here we have the presentation, community, we have presentation, we have views. So inside here, I'm going to create community screen. And now with my community screen, I'm going to create a stateless widget. I will call this community screen. So quickly, what I'm going to do is to go to the home page, the main activity screen, and I'm going to replace this test widget with the community screen. Import that, though it's not going to show at the moment. So I'm going to switch to the next tab and then return back. Okay, it didn't take effect. So let me just go ahead and do a hot restart there. Okay, so while it's restarting, I'm going to add the app bar, add the body and everything to represent the community. So let me quickly go here. Nice. So we just have this placeholder. Okay. So let's build out the UI quickly. So we have an app bar with a title that says community. Community. Right? I think that was the proper spelling. Then we have a style. Just give it a font style of bold. Font weight, sorry. Font weight of bold. And then finally, we are going to create the other section of the app bar. So here I'm going to add, I don't like this background color that is showing there. Let's use false background transparency to be true. Then we have to set center title to be false. Nice. So next thing, I'm going to build out the body. Because we want this to be a scrollable widget, I'm going to be using the single child scroll view, and I have my column as well. And inside here, I have to set my, let's say, cross-axis alignment to be start. Then quickly, I'm going to build out the children layout. So the children, the first thing we want to see on this children section is the pending invites and friends horizontal view. Okay, so that's where we're going to see the friends that we want to invite. We also need to see the invitation sent from another friend. All right, we are going to implement that later. But for now, let's focus on the community feed. So quickly, what I'm going to do is I have this pending invite and friends list. I'm going to leave that section alone. Then we have a recent post where we are going to show the recently post with then just like a header to show recent post. Here we have this padding, we have symmetric recent community post. It's more like a section title that we are going to be creating. We'll be using it as the header. So quickly, what I'm going to do is to go to this section title is something we are going to be using throughout our app. So I won't be creating it inside this widget. Rather, I will be creating it inside our shared directory. And here we have widgets. So here I'm going to create section title widget. So it's more like header, like our header throughout the app. So we have the title, we have the text widget, that title, font size 16, and the font weight. Okay, so this works. So go ahead and import these and save it. You can see how it's showing nice. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to build out the beautiful community postcard and the grid view and everything, how it's going to show. So for this, I'm going to be using a list view.builder, and I'm going to set the item builder context index. So since we don't have any community post, I'm just going to manually add 30 or 10 as the item count. Then we can add padding to this. Let's add padding to the list view. But for now, let me leave it so that you guys can see how it's going to show. So I have my shrink wrap to be true. So here I'm going to return the community post card. For now, let me just return a simple test widget, but I'm going to update this to be a community post card. Now you can see how it's showing. Okay, I think I would want it to screw together with this recent community post instead of just scrolling alone. So I'll be adding physics, which is never scrollable physics. So to disable, this is going to disable scrolling for the list view. So it's not going to screw separately. Since you're already using a single child scroll view, I want whenever we screw the list view, if the items are merged, it should screw together with any heading that is above this recent community post, right? I think that's much more better. Okay. Then now I'm going to create the community post card. So here I have to create the community post card inside this widget. Right here, I'm going to create community post card like so, like that. And this is going to be a stateless widget. And inside the stateless widget, I'm going to say community post card, and I'm going to create the constructors that will be required. I think the first constructor is going to be the username of the user, the profile pics of the user. I think since we are using the username, there is no point passing profile pics. Then we need to pass the post content and time, the time that the user posted the content. So we have a string username, then we have string post content. All these things will be updating them later based on the community model that we'll be creating. So, but for now, I'm just, making things static. And here we have to create the required parameters like so. Nice. So here we are going to proceed and create the layout for the card, the post card. So right here, I'm going to create a card widget. And for now, we are not seeing anything. So what I'll need to do, I will go back to the community screen. Instead of returning data, I'm going to go ahead and return the community post card so that we can see what the users are doing. So the first thing I want to put is the username. I'll use user with their index. And then the post content is just going to be like simple. This is a simple content and all that. Then we have to pass the time ago. So we can just use index.time ago. This is something we are going to format later by the time we start using different dependency like ints and other dependency. We are going to format all this later. All right, so for now, nothing is showing. The reason why it's not showing is because this community is just showing a card and we have not updated, we have not created the UI. So the first thing I want to do here is to add a child to this, and I'll add a column. So inside the column, I have, let me just set my cross-axis alignment to be start. And here I have to pass in the children. So the first section is going to be the row that we have the list circular avatar, the username, and the time ago. All right. I think to do this or make it better, it's better we use a list style. Right. I think a list style should work for something like this. So let's just use a list style. Here we have the leading icon, which is going to be the cycle avatar. And then the background image, let's say cached network image provider, avatar, then we'll pass the username. Like so. Nice. You can see how everything is now showing with, but I don't like, there is no padding around this section. So I will go to the community screen right here. I'm going to add a padding symmetric horizontally to 16. Now you can see there's padding around the list view items. Okay, so let's return back to the community post screen. So right here, I'm going to add a color of white. I'm going to change the background color of this card to white. Like so. Okay, now it's giving us cool stuff. Let's give it a shape. Let's update the edges. Let's use rounded color, rounded rectangular border, and I'm going to set the border radius to be 12, like so. And moving on, we are going to set the margin bottom. Let's say 12 as well. Nice, nice. So it's looking good now. So moving on, we are going to create other section of the list style. So the following thing here is going to be the title, which is going to be the username of the user. So we have username, we have the style, text style, font weight, the bold. Nice. So moving on, we are also going to create the time ago. This is going to be the subtitle where we have time ago, and this is not going to be bold, but rather we are going to set a different color to it. Let's say app color is gray, and then we have font size should be normal. Yeah, just like this. Okay, that's it for the list style section. So the next thing we are going to be creating is the post content. So we just have a test widget here that says post content. It's very close to each other. So here in this column, I'm going to add spacing to be 8. All right. And you can see it's also, there's no padding as well around it. I don't know if this card has padding. It doesn't have padding. So I'll be wrapping this column with a padding widget, and we have to set this to be 12. All right. And we'll remove content padding for this. All right. So everything now is aligned properly. Now I'm going to add the button. We need a like button, and inside the like button, we're also going to show the count, the total count. So at the moment, I'm just statically passing count, like count of 23. So this is how it is. You can like comments. You can see the total number of comments, likes on that particular post. All right. So this is pretty much it for the community card. We have been able to create it, and you can see that it's looking nice. So the next thing we are going to be creating now is to add community posts, like the screen to add community posts. So for this, I will go back to our community screen. Right under this body, I'll be creating a floating action button. And we have our floating action button. It's more like a button that we can use to add a new post. So here we have the unpressed property that is going to take us to the new screen. Aside that, I have my background color, and this is going to be the app primary color. Then we have foreground color, which is going to be white. Then finally, I have to pass in the child, which is an icon. Icons.add. Then we have a size of 28 applied to it, just like that. Now you can see now it's showing nicely, but this stuff is not really, it's showing the whole, is hiding the comment section like the card. So what I'm going to do here, just below this, I'm going to add a size box here, say 30. So this is going to move it up instead of hiding. It's still not, let's make it 50. Now I think this is a little bit better. We can increase it to 60 if you want. Nice. I think this is better. So we can go with this, and now we can scroll. You can see when we scroll, all the other screens, all the other section of the app are showing, are also scrolling. So now I'm going to add the community screen. So to navigate into the community screen, we have a navigator.push add community post screen. So quickly, I'm going to create the add community post screen. Then we can add users post. So I will copy this and come to this view, and I will say add community screen. And right here we have a state full widget, add community screen. Okay, save that, go back here and import this guy. All right, so we can click now. You can see we have a placeholder showing there. So I have my scaffold here. So inside this scaffold, I'm going to pass in a few things. First, I'm going to pass in the app bar that says create post and set the force material transparency to true. And then I have the body. Inside the body, I have my column. And I have to pass the cross-axis alignment. Let's say cross-axis alignment dot end. Okay, let's remove this. You're going to see why I'm using end later. So let's leave it like this. So now we can go back and we can also enter the create post screen. So now while we are inside here, I'm going to create the test form field area where we are going to be adding the post. But before that, I'm going to create a post controller. So here we have a test editing controller for the post controller to retrieve the test. Then after that, we are going to create the test feed section. So we have this one here, which is going to be test form feed. So I like using test form feed because it has a validator method, but test feed like this doesn't have validator. So with test form feed, we can use validator method to validate the input feed. If there's any error, right? If a string is empty or not, then we throw the correct error. Then make sure you import the app colors that you're using and save this. You can see here we have what's on your mind, which is the test area that users can type to post an item. Currently, you can see that this stuff is really close to the edge. So I'm going to wrap this column with a padding widget. And here I'm going to give it size of 16. All right. So moving on, I have my test editing controller where I'm going to, right here, I'm going to add a spacing of 12. Then below it, you can see adding spacing most times is better than using 10.height in every of your widgets to add spacing, right? So it just helps because it's available. You need to upgrade your Flutter to be able to use this column. So in order to be able to use this spacing property, now we have to pass in our elevated button. So this button is what we are going to be using to post the item. So here we have to pass in our unpressed. Yes, we have to pass in our icon. I think we need to use dot icon. Here we need to pass in our icon where we have icons dot post add. And then finally, I have to pass in my style, which is elevated button dot style from. We have our background color, background color. We have app colors dot primary. Then we have the foreground color, app colors dot white. Then we have the shape. Let me add a shape. First, I won't add a shape. Let me just show you guys some few things. We need to add a label. The label is going to be, let's say, submit post, like so. Submit post, you can see the icon and all that. So let's add shape, rounded rectangular border, border radius dot circular to be 10. Nice. So you can see this is aligned to the center. So that's the reason why I wanted to use cross-axis alignment here and set it to end like so. You can see now it's moving it to the left, which is pretty much what we are expecting to get. So now that is it, pretty much good, and we are okay with what we are having currently. So If you add a new post, it's going to save, and when you come here, you're going to see the post. All right. So that's pretty much it about creating a new post in our community screen. So now that we have our community screen up, we are going to proceed further by adding the recent, like the community pending invites and the friends section. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to quickly go back to the community screen. Just above this section where we have recent community posts, I'm going to create a column. And inside this column, we have children. And the first child is going to be pending invites. Okay. Now we have our pending invites, and we have to set another one, which is going to be friends section. I think I'm not supposed to use this padding here. I'm going to remove this padding widget. So I have another one here, which is going to be friends, like so. And I think this is not properly aligned the way I want. So let's set cross-axis alignment here to be start, and then I'm going to wrap this with a padding. So that padding, I'm going to add horizontal to 16 and vertical to 8. So I have the padding here, like so. So you can see how it's looking now. All right, so moving forward, we are going to add the pending invite, which is, I'm going to create horizontal avatar list for pending invites, and then we are going to create another one, which is for friends. So to create that horizontal avatar list, I'm going to come quickly here where we have still inside our community widgets. I'm going to create horizontal avatar list dot that. So here I have to create a stateless widget, and I will call this horizontal avatar list. And inside here, I'm going to create different parameters. Is invite, so we need to know if it's invite, then show something else. If it's friends, then show a different dialogue, right? So to do that, I'm going to quickly grab this here, and so we have this user profile. I think we have not created this user profile. It's more like a dummy data that I just created inside our model. So this user profile is just going to have the user's name. So for now, I'm just going to set this to a string because this should just be the username of the user. So we don't need any other further details. So we have a list of string. This is going to take items, more like users. Okay. Users. Then is invited users or is invites. Then we show a different screen entirely. So with this, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to quickly go to the community screen, though I've not created that section yet. Let's go to the community screen right here. What I'm going to do is to add for pending invites. All right, I'm going to set horizontal avatar list. Then here you can see the is invite. Since it's pending invites, I'm going to set this to true. Then the list I'm going to use, since we don't have the data for now, I'm just going to use list.generate to generate random numbers, like random values. And then I'm going to return the username. Let's say user based on the index +1, right? So this works. This is going to give us what we want. And then next, I'm going to create the friends section. I will still copy this. So it's still going to be the same thing, but here the friends I'm going to set is invite to be false. So I can just remove it because by default, okay, is invite is going to be false for this section. Now we have to pass, instead of user, let's say friends, okay? But we are going to update these names later. So you can see how it's showing right now. It's not really what we are expecting. So let's move over to the avatar list. So from here, I'm going to quickly create a simple rule. First, I'm going to check if users dot is empty, or like if users dot is empty, I'm going to return a size box, right? And then here I'm going to return, if it's not empty, I'm now going to return a size box as well. We are going to add a height of 110 to the height. Then a child, let's say a list style.builder, list view.builder, like so. Context index. Then we have the item count, which is going to be the user's length. All right. So save that. Now you can see we just have the spacing showing there. But I think the next thing we're going to do here is to return the gesture detector. On top of the gesture detector, we are going to perform some actions. So I'm going to come back to that later. But for now, let's proceed and add the body part of the app. So we have a child that has a column here, and we have the children. So inside the children, we have a circle avatar. We have a radius of 30 to it. Save it, you can see how it's displaying now, right? See how it's displaying. It's not supposed to show like this. I think we need to add what is called a screw axis alignment and also add a padding to this. So I'm going to set that inside here, like so. You can see now it's screwed horizontally. Nice. So moving on, I'm going to create, we have the circle avatar. I'm going to create the background color. The background color is going to be our secondary color, app color dot secondary color. Let's say, let's add some opacity, like let's use with alpha 30. Now we have that nice looking color. And then we have the background image, which is going to be cached network image provider. We have our avatar, and then we pass in the username of the user, which is coming from, okay, let's just, for now, let's just pass, let's say final user equal to users index. So we're going to pass the user here. Save it. Nice. So you can see how everything is looking pretty much beautiful, though there is no spacing at the moment. So we are going to add some spacing to it. So first I'm going to add spacing here to 5, and then below it I'm going to add the name of the user. So we have to pass in user style, text style, font size 12. Okay, now everything is looking good, but you can see there's no space between all these items. So what I can do here is to add this required spacing to them. And I think the best way to do something like this is, let's wrap this with a padding. And the padding, we are going to say only right 12. Nice. So the next thing we are going to do is to add the, so if is invite, so the on top, now that we are done with the friends pending invites, we are done with the friends and everything. So the next thing we are going to do now is to design the friend invitation dialog. Okay, or we can say like the friend invitation dialog. That's what we are going to create now. So from here I have that's the reason why I pass this is invite. So the is invite, when we say it's invite, we are telling the system what the dialog to show. So if is invite, what we are going to do here is to show invite bottom sheet. Then if it's not invite, that means we are trying to view the friends details. So we are going to show friends details bottom sheet. All right. So remember, we already created this show bottom sheet somewhere in our home screen when we were working on habits. If you go to the habit screen and you tap on a friend's thing somewhere around here, like a friend habits, you're going to see their details. I don't know if it's this screen. Yeah, I think it's this screen where you're going to see their streak for that particular habit, right? Yeah, you can only see the habits that you were invited to see. You cannot see any other thing. Mm, streak counts, their missed days, their unmissed days, and the comments that they have so far. I think this is it. So we are going to go back to the community section here. So when user taps on this, we are going to show the friends details. And when you tap on this, we are going to show the pending invites. So next thing I'm going to do here is to, I think it should be around home, where we have our presentation, dialogue, show habit details sheet. I think this is it. Let me look how I called it previously. Okay, so this was the expo here. So let's copy this guy and go back to the screen. So show first details model, bottom sheet. I'm going to update, import this. Then the habit index, we can just say index. Then the habit name, friend name is going to be user. We have the streak count, index, missed days, and all that. Current user, we can set this current user to be is current user. I think this should be is false by default, so I can just remove it. So now what happens whenever we tap on this, it brings up that dialog for us to view the first details. All right. Do I know all this UI? Moving forward, we might encounter some few things that we need to tweak. Okay, so we need to like change some few things later on. Now let's quickly show the invite button sheet. So here, showing the invite button sheet, you can have something like show invite button sheet. Okay, and I think it needs the context, and then we can pass the inviter name, like the person that is inviting us. So we need to pass the name. Yeah, we need to pass, let's just use something like this name. Then we have habit name as well. So I need to quickly create this. Okay, I think what I'm doing is completely wrong. Yeah, so it's completely wrong. And I'm going to create the name. So this is going to be a name parameter. So the name, we have our user, and then the habit name. So at the moment, we don't have the habit name. So we can just use this example here for the habit name. So this is for invited users. So these users, we are going to change this string later to a model, right? We're going to change it later. So it's going to contain the habit name and every other details. So for now, I'm going to quickly go to the community screen where we have the presentation. I'm going to create dialogues, or I can call this model. Inside the presentation, let's call these models. So inside here, I'm going to create the show invite button sheet to that. So here I have my void show invite bottom sheet, and I have my build contest, which is the contest. Then I have my required, which is going to be the name. And then I have another one, which is going to be the habit name, like so. Now I will go back to the horizontal avatar and then import this guy here. So that's pretty much it. Let's proceed and add the necessary things that we need here. So what I'm going to do here is to show model bottom sheet. And inside the model bottom sheet, I'm going to pass the context. And then we have the builder still with the context. And inside here, I'm going to return a column. Let me add main axis size to the main axis size.main. All right. So I have my children. I have my circular avatar, which has a radius of 40. And I have the background color to be app colors dot primary color. Then I have the child, which is network cached network image, rather cached network image provider. No, No. I think this should be cached network image because this is actually accepting a widget. So we have the image URL, we have the avatar, and then we have the name like so. And we can go on and close this and also close this. Then in the bottom sheet, I'm going to set the shape. First, let me show you guys how it displays. When we click on the invite, you can see how it's showing no data for now. So I will just proceed and add the remaining data. So let's add spacing here to be 12. And inside here, I'm going to add a test widget that says name invited you, like so. And then I have my test style, font size to be 18, and font weight, we have our font weight dot bold. Then secondly, we have to set our test align, right? Very important. We have test align, test align dot center. All right. Now I'm going to set the more like a simple test that says join the habit. So let me duplicate this and I'm going to update this to be join the habit. Then I'm going to pass in the habit name by saying habit name. So I want this to be in a quote. Let's say double quotes. So I'm going to be using single quotes here. Let's put the double quotes here like so. So if I tap now, you will see how it displays. No, not this one. Okay, we are still getting what we are not expecting. So I'm going to let me add a padding first to this. I'll add a padding here. All is going to be 16 and click again. I'm clicking on the wrong one. All right, so this is supposed to be full. It's supposed to be large. I think the button, okay, let me leave that one. We are going to add the button later. So let's quickly add the button here. We have a role widget with a column, with the children rather. We have the first test button, which is going to have an unpressed. So this one we handle closing of the dialog. We have navigator.pop. So here now we have a test widget that says decline. Okay, we have test style. Let's say test style font size to be 16. And here we can just add the color, which is going to be app colors.red. And that's it. Moving on, I'll also add another one, which is going to be a elevated button. So I'm going to update this from a test button to be an elevated button. We have the unpressed, we have the child, which is going to be accept now, and the font size 16. I'm going to remove this because I want to add a style to this one. So the style, what I'm going to do is to add the foreground color and the background color and also set the shape as well. Then when you click on accept, it's going to show a message that you have accepted the invite. Then you can now go ahead and pop the widget. So for now, I will leave things as they are. And moving on, I'm just going to add a space. Let me just add like a 8.height around here. Okay. So watch how it displays now. When we click, you can see how it's showing. User 3 invited you. Join the habit 3, decline and accept. Currently, this decline and accept is not showing the way I want. So I'm going to add space evenly inside this. So here when I tap, you can see now it's showing, giving us what we want. Nice. So guys, this is pretty much it for the accepting users invites. And so far, we have been able to create a beautiful looking UI. All right. So now we are going to look at other things. Our community screen is now interactive, stylish, and fun, right? So now we are going to be looking at other things in the next section, which is more like the profile screen and settings UI development.